Welcome to the next episode of our podcast, where Sarah Troupe is going to go through a discussion around the partner perspective. So, just a few things. We're going to discuss the podcast purpose, how that ServiceNow partner ecosystem operates, what partners look for when they're conducting a hiring process for that first time role. Sarah's got some Q and Jacob will have the A, so the questions and answers. And then we'll have some closing remarks and learn a bit about Jacob's company as well. So without further ado, Jacob, can you do a brief introduction about yourself, please?
Sure thing. I'm Jacob Akrouche, and I run the ServiceNow practice at EPI-USE. EPI-USE is under Group Elephant. We are a conglomeration of boutique firms that mostly deal in the HR space.
Nice. And Sarah, yourself?
Yes, I'm Sarah Troupe, and I am trying to land my first role in the ServiceNow ecosystem. I got my CSA and just been walking with Chris through coaching and just learning about different aspects of ServiceNow.
So yes, that brings us to the podcast's purpose. So we're trying to shed some light on how people can navigate that next career step. So how do we move from our current position into that next role? So Sarah's case is trying to land that first gig, which we know many people listening in are also in that same position. So hopefully this can help you learn some tactics you can use to be successful. So without moving on from there, Jacob, could you kind of cover at a high level how the ServiceNow partner ecosystem works? And we'll be discussing that from the perspective of someone that doesn't know what ServiceNow is or how the partners operate.
Sure thing. So the partner ecosystem at ServiceNow, with ServiceNow rather, is you can think of a partner as accredited by ServiceNow as having expertise in the space. And there are various partnership lenses which ServiceNow or kind of deems a partner to have. There's the consulting side of the fence, consulting implementation. There's building, there's training, and I think there's one more. I'm trying to recall off the top of my head. Chris, if you recall that one.
Reseller. Yeah. So there's implementation, reseller,
yes.
And build. So reselling is reselling the licenses, and
yes.
Build is for developing ServiceNow store apps.
Yes. I often forget about that lens because I kind of mentally accumulate them with the consulting and implementation, because very often when you win a project and you're implementing, you will also be doing the reselling. So there are different categories of partnership within ServiceNow. It goes from registered all the way up to elite. And part of kind of moving up that ladder in the partnership status is associated to various milestones, we'll say. That could come down to the amount of deals or net new ACV, or the net new sales, we'll call it, to clients. That's a commonly looked at metric. The amount of certifications a partner has is also important. And those are, since we focus predominantly on implementation and resale, those are ones that are top of mind for us. Now, the partnership ecosystem is a fairly tight-knit community, at least within North America. You know, up-and-comers within the space are often recognized or end up co-delivering with bigger partners. And from a partnership perspective, it's very easy to think of every other partner as a competitor, but we have a little bit of a different approach. As you know, Chris, we deliver with other partners almost continuously. So because ServiceNow has a lot of different modules or areas of value, it's very often that a partner specializes in a particular area, like ourselves, ITSM and HRSD, and end up working with another partner who may be specialized in, let's say, WSD. And clients who tend to get on ServiceNow tend to buy more than one thing. They see the value of the scale of the platform and cross-departmental values, cross-team workflows. So what ends up happening quite often is partners partner together on opportunities. So it's a great community. Many of the other partner leaders I'm close with, and we lend each other individuals on projects all the time.
Well, that's great. And just to shed a bit more light, so if I'm a ServiceNow customer, I purchase certain modules like workplace service delivery, WSD, human resources service delivery, HRSD, and those types of things directly from ServiceNow. I may go then and need someone to help me implement it or configure it to suit my organization's needs. ServiceNow typically doesn't do that. So what they do is have this entire partner ecosystem. I believe in the world there's just over 2,000 partners that are at least registered or above. And ServiceNow may, in some cases, recommend a specific partner to work with for that customer to help drive that implementation. And that's the real nature of that ecosystem. So we're coming in at the partner level to help implement the products that have been purchased. And like you said, Jacob, this thing is huge now. There's no way that any single person can know all of it and be able to execute on all of it. And that's where the specialization kicks in. And that does force, a lot of partners to kind of play nice together. And it's nice to hear that EPI-USE does that, which I personally have seen.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about specialization of the individual skill set, or I would say, we'll touch on this in a bit later as we kind of go through what I look for. But although an organization may be specialized, I think it's advantageous at an individual level for you to be to understand multiple domains and the marketability that comes with that, especially as someone trying to break through.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that's great to touch on that. We'll make sure we dive deeper into it. So, as a ServiceNow partner who does hiring, you own and run the entire company. So, the buck stops with you. And that means that some of the interviews happen with you as well. So if you were looking to hire somebody into that junior or, that first role, what kinds of things would you look for what possess skills and qualities would you be looking for?
Sure. So the utmost skill that I look for is communication. Now, communication skills are paramount as a junior coming into the space, because you're going to have to communicate your skill set and market yourself, and B, you're going to have a good understanding of what the organization who you're looking to work with is looking for out of you. As part of the interview process, if the person who's interviewing you feels like you are a rock star on a communication front, they're not going to have reservations about putting you in front of clients, and also how you'll collaborate with the existing team. So that's always top of mind for us when we're looking at juniors, especially, is that element of their skill set. And the second one is about the ability to collect answers and figure things out as they come towards you. So often when we're interviewing a junior, we'll ask them questions about potentially difficult situations and how they've alleviated that situation. Usually 90% of the time it's through communication. So it kind of alludes back to the first point there. I forget the name of this. There's a law like Murphy's Law or those types of laws where they say writing down a difficult problem gets you 90% of the way there, right? It's just a matter of identifying the problem and, working through that. Often as a junior, does anybody remember what that law is? I forget.
That's Charles Kettering, and any problem that's written down is half solved.
Not 90%. Close enough.
That's fine. Yeah.
Jacob's Law, adjust the laws a little bit.
There you go. Yeah. Jacob's Law. I like that better, actually.
Yeah. So that's a key component of showcasing yourself. And it goes without saying, certifications are going to show also the person or the company that you're looking to work with, it shows them your commitment to the platform and your willingness to learn. So although university degrees are very important, we will not turn somebody who does not have a university or college degree as an example, but who has committed to learning this platform, right? It's very specific knowledge, ServiceNow, and understanding how ServiceNow works. So someone who takes those steps, especially on their own time, because they're juniors, a lot of the time it's going to be on their own dime as well, shows the level of commitment that the candidate has towards the platform. So that's usually a fantastic sign. The last element too, which is I guess more on the advice side of things, is I personally really like when the junior is well networked. So ServiceNow is often hosting these events, whether it's a ServiceNow user group, what they call snugs, which are locally within big cities. There's also the world forums, there's federal forums. So as you start to see some individuals on a continuous basis at these conferences or like gatherings, ServiceNow specific gatherings, it's the next cherry on top where the person is committed and it's showing you that they're looking to get into the community. So that would be one of my pieces of advice. If you're not out there digitally or physically, you are just going to be overshadowed by those who are in those events shaking hands. Because if you're in those events shaking hands, you're building that one-on-one personal connection. Also, the face is important. You can tell a lot about a person in person versus online. And you start to put together a good network of people who can support you as you kind of go through this journey. And keeping in touch with these people is critical, in my opinion. So as a ServiceNow partner, especially in the consulting and implementation lens, opportunities with clients come and go. A project starts, we need individuals. As the project is filled up, individuals may not be needed anymore for that project. So the opportunity windows sometimes are open just for a couple weeks. Okay, a partner wins a big project, they need to inject a little bit more firepower. It's a good opportunity to bring in juniors where they can learn, maybe not do as much hands-on work, but maybe from a more mentorship, being mentored perspective. So those opportunity windows are really where the time is to shine as a candidate. And you cannot recognize those opportunity windows, or the partner cannot recognize you as a potential way to support the opportunity if you don't have a one-on-one relationship with those individuals.
Absolutely.
So I would say there's potent methods to getting your breakthrough, your first job, which is one-on-one connections matched with opportunity. And then there's less potent options, which is, more of the cold call, cold LinkedIn, reach out, job posting way. When a partner is reaching out to the community with a job posting, they have an obvious need, but more often than not, if they have somebody which they know on a personal level, that person will fill the role versus someone who doesn't have that relationship. So involvement in the community is important. Get out there, shake hands, and go for coffees. Those things will go a long way, because when the partner gets that project, as an example, you'll be top of mind. We need a junior. This person has CIS, HRSD as an example. I think it'd be a good opportunity to bring them in.
Okay, well, that was a lot. I'm just going to quickly summarize. So we're talking about that. We covered communication's important, certifications are important. We kind of lightly touched on the do what it takes attitude, and networking and keeping those networking relationships alive. So I'm going to roll back a little bit, and we all see on these job postings and we all hear in the interviews, do you have good oral and written communication skills? But nobody really dives deep into that. So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot a bit. Sorry for that. But can you explain kind of some things that you see that say, okay, I don't think this person's communication skills are quite where that I need them to be? And then also cover on the flip side some examples of things where you're like, that person's communication is stellar. They have gone far above and beyond what I would need, and that kind of propels them to the top of the list.
So our method of communication in an interview, at least when I run interviews, or some individuals who work closely within our organization, we notice when we're working with juniors, it can sometimes be a little intimidating for them. So we try to have the communication on the interviews be a little more lighthearted and personality based, as a means to kind of relax the other person and disarm them from this idea that this is going to be like a technical interview and XYZ, I need to hit these points. So it's I mean, communication is a two-way street. From our perspective, we have to make the other person comfortable to market themselves. If you're going to come at them with plenty of questions and really try to nail them on something technical, that also erodes the idea of the figure it out attitude, because maybe at the exact point in time, they may not know the answer, but they can figure it out, which is a very valuable skill set. So when we're chatting with a person, we mostly try to understand what they think their skill sets are. And also, it's the responsibility of the candidate to interview us. So it's not, once again, it's a bidirectional communication here. The candidate has to be aware that as they enter this company, that there's going to be a cultural fit for them. You know, they say you spend more time with your coworkers than you do your significant others and friends, right? You're spending a lot of time with them. Sometimes you're in the trenches on a project. So you really have to like what the company is standing for. And communicating that way shows me that they also are thinking about this beyond and above a job. If they're truly interested in the company and asking, you know, how do we engage with clients? What is the overall way that we deal with issues internally if a project is going sideways? Shows me that, you know, they have these things top of mind, which we also have. So there's kind of an alignment. To broadly say, so like there are these little hints that you get based off of talking with somebody, whether or not they know themselves and they know what they're getting into. It's going to be important.
And there's some great tips there on some of those questions, you know, what you're looking to be asked, and having some strategically chosen questions when you're being interviewed will definitely help you stand out. So that was some great tips on that. Thanks. You'd mentioned the importance of certifications. Now, we've kind of covered this in previous episodes of the podcast, where it's certifications plus experience when we're looking for it. And, you know, in all honesty, in some cases, if I can only pick one, we pick experience. However, that's kind of also, you know, cart before the horse, or, you know, the chicken or the egg scenario for somebody trying to land that first role, where maybe the only option available to them is to go get those certifications first to kind of show that interest, like you said. So can you describe why certifications are important to a partner?
Yeah, so they're important on two fronts. I may have touched on this briefly, but the partner, in order for them to elevate the partner status, the ServiceNow Partnership Program takes into account the certifications that reside under the partner. So bringing more certifications to the table is always a plus. Now, I want to touch on something I kind of mentioned earlier, which is how an organization can be specialized in a couple things, let's say. But I think at an individual level, especially at a junior level, it's important to be diversified. So a junior resource within an organization, because they don't have that really drill down specialization experience yet, it's going to be important for the organization to fit them in potentially on different projects, potentially on different modules, right? So if someone comes to me and they say, okay, I have CIS and HRSD and ITSM, that almost effectively doubles the opportunity to put them onto a project. If there was just HRSD as an example, then I think the fit would be more towards the HRSD projects. But if an ITSM opportunity came up, I may not look at them twice. So having that flexibility or having that diversification in certifications gives the organization which you're looking to work with more flexibility in where you can fit into the organization. So I think it's very important for juniors to get out there, network, but also back themselves with the certifications.
Okay. And are you ever in a situation where a customer comes to you and says, hey, we need to do this, and anybody that works on it must be certified?
All the time.
All the time. So you kind of broke up there.
Especially when dealing with, say, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Am I clear now?
Yeah, you are. Go ahead. Thanks.
Good. So, I mean, there are different types of engagements. One's which with a partner is engaging with a client, and let's say there's full trust. They say, okay, this is the statement of work. We expect this delivery. From that point forward, you and the project team and who you assign on the project is up to the partner. The other opportunities where you are looking to, let's say, respond to an RFP, in which case a minimum requirement may be an RFP. For those who don't know, is a request for a proposal. It's a public declaration from a company saying that they're looking for, in this case, a ServiceNow partner for an implementation, as an example. It may be part of the requirement that the resources on the project, I don't like the word resources, I'm going to reframe, the people on the project are certified. So having those certifications, it may be a make or break for an opportunity. The ones that I really gravitate towards within our company are obviously CSA and implementation specialist for HRSD and ITSM. But the cherry on top is an application developer as well. It is the next level of technicality, which gives me more comfort in saying, okay, we could give this individual stories to develop against and have a little bit more confidence because they have more exposure to maybe some of the more nitty-gritty parts of the tool.
That's a fantastic answer. And, full disclosure, that was one certification I got, HRSD, was because there was nobody certified, and the organization I was with at the time wanted to do an RFP and needed at least one. So I went off and got it. They're like, can you do this in 2 weeks? Okay. So I went and did it, took the foundations, then did the implementation course. The bid didn't move forward. So now I had this certification and maintained it with the deltas, but never used it until you and I started working together, Jacob. So
yes, about the deltas, I would say it's such a shame. I see many individuals get their certifications and not keep them up to date. So, I mean, obviously as a junior, you're getting these new, but to stay on top of them as you get busy and hopefully land that role is important. Not only for the maintenance of the certification and saying that you have it and it could be used and referenceable, but also to keep your knowledge up to date of what's up and coming in the platform.
Yeah.
Often the organizations which we're implementing with may not be on the latest version, right? But eventually they will be. So getting ahead of that and providing recommendations to our clients, hey, this is a new feature that's actually up and coming in Washington, and this would satisfy a big maybe issue or feature which you're looking to implement. So that could also add fuel to the fire in getting the client to move to the newest version, go through an upgrade, get an upgraded project. So those, some of the most brilliant ideas I've had within my organization have come from the juniors because they're ears to the ground on this. Often what happens over time, hopefully not with everybody, but as you get more and more experience with the platform, you may get a little bit more rigid in how you solve issues, right? You've seen the same issue 100 times and you resolve it 100 times, but that next time, okay, maybe there's a new feature. And if you're not up to date on your certifications or really keep your ear to the ground, you may miss that. And often the juniors who are coming in, still a little wet behind the ears with the new cert, they're like, oh, wait a second, that's actually exists, right? And you could do this much easier. The clients value that. And we have architects and senior devs on our team who are like having these light bulb moments from the juniors, which is always really fun to see.
Yeah, definitely. I experience that all the time. And like I said, it's impossible to stay on top of everything. So having that attitude where the best idea wins, and this speaks to the John Baptiste speech that was given at Knowledge on the last day there, saying, in the studio when he's recording, the best idea must always win, so set egos aside. That is something I strive towards, don't always get there, but strive towards, so that if there is a configuration way that I didn't know about, somebody, whoever brings it up, is that the best way to do it? Yes. Does it factor in everything? That's what we want to do and deliver it. And even if I've solved it 100 times, which I have in this recent case that I did something earlier this week, I found a much better way to do it with reducing the code that was required. And now my skills are upgraded. And this is from a community post in 2019.
Wow. Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
So, yeah. Now you talked about the networking piece and keeping the relationships alive. That's critical as well, especially if we look at, like the relationships kind of like a plant. You have to water it consistently, otherwise it dies. So while you build the relationships in these networking events or, in these in-person things, those follow-up touch points are absolutely super important to maintain, so that, hey, let's go for coffee and see what's new with you and where you're heading. And, that will help open people up so that you can hear their current struggles and issues. And then perhaps you can say, oh, I can help with that. But without maintaining it, you'll never know what they're struggling with, let alone how you could help them.
Yeah, if I could add to that. So having those types of conversations and like kind of getting that information, what maybe a particular technical issue they're having with clients or part of the system, everybody can have access to a PDI. So as a junior, I also recommend, what's a word that's more, I strongly recommend, I'll say, that you roll up your sleeves, get yourself a PDI, personal development developer instance, and start to play around. Get App Engine, start to build little apps, check out how the HR tables are working and the structure of those, create some cases, play around with Employee Center Pro, Virtual Agent. One of the things about being a junior is sometimes you don't have the business context. I realized that when I was an ITIL trainer, a lot of the people who would come into that course, maybe junior, and don't have business context. When you're explaining something to them like incident management or change management, they, sometimes have a gloss look over their eye because they don't really know how this, process works within a larger organization. As you start to get more into it, so you have a PDI and you're playing around with it, you start to add business context to all this content which you just learned. So the content is great and it does add some business context, but when you're in there and trying to solve it yourself, it kind of galvanizes the content that you learned from the training, from the certifications. So get that PDI up, and you can even show some initiative. Hey, I think I could solve this. I'm going to do it on my PDI. You have this conversation over coffee or whatever, and I want to show you over a 5-minute demo next week. Punch it out, show them. That shows, if someone did that with me, I think I would be sold. It shows you that they are taking their own time and they're actually trying to solve an issue for you, even though they're not even on payroll or part of the team yet.
Great advice. Yeah, Sarah and I are working outside of the podcast together on building some of those real world skill sets. So we're kind of still in the first phases of this, but the program that we're kind of working with is at the end I've got an XML drop of stories. I'm going to drop it into her instance and she's going to go build it. And you don't get more real world than that. I've stripped out
Wow.
all of the company stuff that's related to it, but it's actual stuff that I've worked with a real live client, and we'll build each little piece one at a time through the agile module in ServiceNow. And then I'm going to come in and review the work notes and review the instance. And then finally at the end, we'll build a presentation along with a demo.
Yeah. I believe Now Create also has starter stories for
They
many of the
do.
modules.
Yes.
So if you get into Now Create, I think you could just type in literally starter stories and it'll show you by module. They will be an XML or a CSV of an Excel of some sort. And you could upload those and really start playing around. Okay, this is the type of story I'd expect from a client on a project. And, to use like non-industry language, a story is basically requirements for development, right? So you upload those into your Agile module within your PDI and work towards them. It will give you that more hands-on experience.
Yes, definitely. And we'll just explain a bit of Now Create. So Now Create is a framework that ServiceNow uses for their project management methodology. And this is speaking to how do you implement a project? So there's 5 phases to it. These starter stories are product line based. So you'll have HRSD, ITSM. So let's say somebody's a net new customer to this product. This is what ServiceNow recommends. They cast a very general, very wide net. So most implementations involve customizing these stories or these requirements to suit them, but it's making sure that you don't miss something. That's what I drive a lot of the value out of. So I put all the stories, I'm like, oh, I forgot about they have to configure that one piece. Let's make sure we do it and make sure we collect the requirements and test it so that it closes those gaps with it. So yeah, Sarah, I can walk you through that in our next session next week. Show you how to do that. The ITSM one, actually, I haven't looked at the new ITSM ones in a few releases. So that will probably be a great thing. And they also cover the foundation part too, because every product has foundational data and foundations that you have to build out. Okay, that's all been great so far. So let's move into the Q&A, Sarah. So now the floor is yours to ask Jacob any questions. Feel free to put them in the hot seat.
Absolutely. So my first question would be, do you look at any like micro certs or anything like that when like looking at resumes, or is it just the certifications?
No, micro certs are very important as well. It shows you the exposure that individual has with sometimes these very niche elements of the system. So like a micro certification on virtual agent as an example. That will show me that the individual, I can maybe put them on some tasks related to virtual agent, and they already have a little bit of a head start from someone who doesn't have those micro certifications. Naturally, you start to accumulate these micro certs as part of your CSA and CIS certs, but take that next level step to see what other micro certifications there are above and beyond what's included as part of those original certifications.
Absolutely.
Sorry, just want to add one more piece to that. Micro certifications also feed into a suite certification. So there's currently, I believe, 3: HRSD, ITSM, and CSM, Customer Service Management. So you need the mainline certification, the larger one in that product line. So HRSD, CSM, ITSM, plus specific related micro certifications. And then you're considered to have the suite certification, which also can boost your profile and help you stand out from others.
Tying back also to the partnership and partnership levels, that is also another criteria which is measured as a partner. So as a premier partner, as an example, you need 30 micro certifications within your employee base. So having those adds to that element as well.
Perfect.
That was a great question.
Yeah, my next question would be like working with different clients like throughout the day. Like, how do you manage that as a junior? You're working, this client for an hour, and then you're having to move over to a different client in the like in the system.
Yeah. So that's It's a great question, because that's something that not only juniors face, but intermediates, seniors, project managers. It's seldom that you'll just be supporting one customer at the end of the day. You know, as a junior, maybe start off with one, but then, you know, as you start to branch out, you'll be supporting multiple. So something unrelated to ServiceNow, but it's just in general, to be a productive person, is time management. So there's two elements here. There's going to be time management and client management, we'll say. So, but the time management side of the fence, keeping your calendar up to date, staying on top of emails, being active in your chat groups with your project teams, and prioritizing your time. So you have to not only look at the lens of a single project list of tasks, which ones are most important, but juggling lists of tasks across clients. Within our organization, we use a system called Notion, where we're starting to have our employees put in their tasks into Notion and giving them, you know, a 10,000-foot view of not only project tasks, but also maybe tasks within an organization that's not drawn to a project. Like, we're building some apps on the App Store, and we have some of our juniors supporting those. So often you might be supporting non-project tasks. But at the end of the day, it's customer first, and customer happiness is part of the customer first motto. So juggling between is going to be critical. That's not something you could really look at a junior and expect from day one, but it is a skill set that you kind of learn over time, and how to manage people and manage clients. You're going to be working closely with your project managers, and they're going to have transparency on all the other things you're working on as well, so they could appropriately dedicate your time. Sometimes just carving out, you know, sections of your day for one client and the other client, and setting that expectation. Hey, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm on this project. Can we, you know, have the scrums or workshops on those days, and then, you know, Tuesday, Thursday, maybe on another client. But time management is going to be important, but I would say that's something you learn as you kind of get your feet wet.
Absolutely. My next question would be, coming in as a junior, and you have your certifications, you have multiple. What is the expectation of training? Because every partner is different on their training. How do you align that with a junior plan?
So the expectations are going to change based off of the type of role the individual is. We have individuals in our organization who are developers, who are BAs, PMs, architects, you know, the whole gamut. For a BA, as an example, there's the business process consultant, if that's a correct phrase, certifications, which are more towards requirements gathering and documentation. So for those individuals, often the juniors may not have that experience. Sometimes we hire individuals who are very experienced in BA work, but may not have ServiceNow specific understanding.
Mm-hmm.
We will first and foremost get them certified in that, obviously under company expense, because that's going to help them really add some more ServiceNow context to the BA role they have. For developers, it's a little bit more nuanced. If a junior is coming in with a couple CIS and CSA, maybe the next step is a CAD certification, so an application developer certification, to get them a little bit more technical knowledge. But other than that, you know, it's expanding on the certifications is important, but I wouldn't say it's critical. At that point, if you're certified and you're keeping your certifications up to date, it may not be of value for you to, let's say, go get a GRC certification if we're not really working on GRC projects. So keeping them up to date, and maybe just doing a top-up certification every once in a while, and then eventually down the line going towards CTA, that's more of what we would push towards. The individual is a hungry person and they want to keep getting those CISs, no, power to them. We'll continue to support them as they go through that journey. But for the most part, once they have the certifications that keep them up to date, now it's about building experience.
Absolutely. So I guess my question was, do you provide any training coming in as a junior? Even though they have the certifications, do you provide like training on your systems and your processes? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so it's tends to be very hands-on type of training. Uh, Predominantly where we kind of position our juniors is in a lot of POCs, proven concepts and demos, so they can, you know, roll up their sleeves, but not but there's not a direct client impact, let's say, from a demo. Also, demos tend to be very iterative. You showcase something to the client in a demo, you get them direct feedback, you understand maybe how you could have done it a little differently, you go back and make that adjustment, and you immediately see the client is happy. So when we bring on a junior, we do a lot more of a hands-on type of training with a mentor. So maybe a junior dev will be working under a senior dev as part of this demo.
Oh, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any more questions. That's it.
Okay, well, I mean that's been fantastic. So, Jacob's company also does extensive mentorship stuff. So I don't know if you can expand a bit more on that, but I did enjoy the demo part of it, because you're not just thrown to the wolves, or you're not just kind of thrown in the deep end and you're the only one in the pool. You're going in and trying to figure it out on your own, but with a support network that you can leverage and reach out to. And this is something that we're going through right now for somebody to build a demo. And sometimes it'll be 2 years between the demo of this and then you demo the same product 2 years later, but it's very different. And in our current thing, it's like, oh well, how does Gen AI kick in on this? And that's a net
Exactly.
new. It's like building the demo from scratch, even though it's like, okay, well, I know how these 3 things work, but all this other stuff is all brand new. So you're constantly learning, and I'm learning with the people that are working on the demo as well. So how do you do your
Yeah, it's a fun way
mentorship
to
though,
think about it.
Jacob?
Yeah, just talk about Gen AI. It's a fun way to think about it, because Gen AI, hits the platform, and all of a sudden everybody's a junior, right?
Mm-hmm.
The junior's a junior and the senior's a junior. So
Yeah.
those are cool opportunities to see, especially some of the juniors in our organization. Um, they pick it up so rapidly. It's kind of scary to see. Um, so as new features kind of come online, we tend to notice that the juniors are also on top of that very quickly. That's a good quality to have as a junior, and to show the organization, that immediate value is enormous. Now, one thing I want to touch upon too, which is, I know a lot of the conversations were what a partner is looking for in a candidate, in a junior candidate, but it's worth mentioning there are some stuff that the candidate should look for in a partner,
Yes.
Mhm.
right? So one of the things I really enjoy is if I'm having these kind of informal interviews with juniors, is if they're probing about how the responsibilities will scale over time. That shows me that they're here to stay, and they're ambitious in growing. So don't only ask me about the position day one. Ask me about what's next, what products you're building now, and can I support those products? Can I go get microcerts or other certifications to support you on a product? Because often, as a business owner, as a partner, sometimes you have this lens which is very project based, and I'm looking at project A, B, C, where can this junior fit in? But if you pitch that you can help build new product, run demos, POCs, that will adjust the conversation a little bit to make the opportunity for you wider to join that organization. So talk about how you want to scale your responsibilities over time.
Nice. That's awesome. Okay,
And to add color to that, ask about
yeah.
the culture. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead. Go
maybe
ahead.
yapping a bit. Ask about
No.
ask about the culture as a candidate. Talk to not only that one individual who you're meeting with, talk to another junior dev who's working for that company. What are you guys doing on a daily basis? So you get a feel too of like what you're kind of stepping into. Don't just, sometimes you're in a position where you maybe the market's dry and you just want to get your first job in the market. But I don't think the ServiceNow market's like that right now. I think you have opportunity across different partners. So pick the right one for you. If it's the right one for you, it'll also be the right one for the partner. So you're doing them a favor, in the long run.
Absolutely.
That's great. Okay, did that spark any other questions?
No, not at this time.
Okay, no, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure. Okay, so Jacob, let's now move in and tell us, about EPI-USE Now, which is your company, and how EPI-USE as a conglomerate. Is it a conglomerate? Is that the right? Yeah. How
Sure.
that runs.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
said that, so yes.
yeah. And then I know that there's something about elephants to talk about as well. So yeah,
Yes.
let's hear.
So EPI-USE Now, which is our ServiceNow practice, is under a group of companies where we operate under Group Elephant. So we're a bunch of boutique firms that are all kind of under one umbrella. And each one of the firms within the umbrella specialize in either a product, maybe SAP or Workday or ServiceNow, as a matter of fact, or a particular expertise like maybe payroll. So our organization, has plenty of opportunities beyond ServiceNow, but something I touched upon earlier is we are part of this group, and as being part of the group, we also get the advantages of a broader global client base, where we as EPI-USE Now work with our, let's say, SuccessFactors practice on a client they're implementing in Germany. So it's truly a blessing to be part of the group. And the name Group Elephant kind of makes a nod to a nonprofit, which we also own and operate. So 1% of our top line, our revenue, goes towards supporting our nonprofit. It's called ERP, stands for Elephants Rhino People. You can find it online at erp.ngo. I'll give you a lot more information, but in a nutshell, ERP's goal is to reduce poaching of elephants and rhinos, and we do this through alleviating poverty of the people who live near those elephants and rhinos. We have large properties where we intake these elephants or rhinos and keep them safe. And we also have initiatives which aim to bring up the human capital of those individuals who live near those elephants or rhinos so they don't fall on bad behavior.
And that speaks to addressing more of a root problem or a root struggle or challenge to help get that result. And that also translates well into ServiceNow. Building a strong foundation with the platform and within yourself will give you a stronger footing or a better launch pad to kind of cascade into other areas. So, it's really nice to hear that this is not an organization or, an NGO that is just trying to throw money at the problem. You're trying to build up the community there. And, when the water rises, all those boats rise. And then it's about keeping that water rising. Or, at least.
And when you give people opportunity, people without opportunity are in an unfortunate circumstance. But if you give people opportunity, usually they rise to the occasion. That goes for candidates, that goes for people all over the world. So as a candidate, keep your eye on opportunity, keep close communication with the community. And an opportunity which you're going to be thankful for will fall in your lap. That's just the way it goes.
Yep. Just keep at it over time. I've personally seen Sarah's commitment to this. So even throughout the journey, we're even scaling down, it's scaling up. So we're adding more time and spending more time working on this together rather than, kind of just maintaining. So that it's been great to see. And I'm happy to be on the journey with her.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you so much, Jacob, for spending some time sharing these insights with us all. This is a huge thing because the partner ecosystem is one of the largest hiring mechanisms within ServiceNow. I mean, there's the ServiceNow company themselves, but again, if you're looking more implementation wise, then that may not be the best fit for you. But there's over about 2,000 active partners, I believe, right now. So there's a huge ecosystem globally that we can start to leverage. So our next steps then, Sarah, with you will be trying to build some relationships with some of these ServiceNow partners so that they can think, hey, Sarah can help me with this when that opportunity arises.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other closing comments? Anything else to add?
Been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, it's been a pleasure. Thank you all for spending some time with us today, listening in on this and watching the video. Appreciate it, and we will see you next time. Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.